welcome to Hunter Fuel, a supernatural rewatch podcast for adults who enjoy their show with a chaser. I'm Liz.
And I'm Lynn.
Thanks so much for joining us for season 2, episode 13, Houses of the Holy. We model responsible drunkenness here. All participants are way over
Hey.
21. No one is pregnant. No one will be driving, handling weapons, operating heavy machinery, or using SpongeBob SquarePants placemats as altar cloths. If you're playing along with us, those are the rules. If you decide not to play by them and you do something stupid, don't blame us. Lynn, what are you drinking this evening?
I went simple. I'm just having a glass of red wine.
Red wine is
Which
making a
actually is
reappearance.
oddly appropriate because it is about a Catholic church and do have red,
It's
they do
you,
have wine.
you've got your Jesus juice ready to go.
Amen to that.
Well, the featured cocktail for this episode, again, appropriately enough, is called a church. It is 1 ounce of gin, 1 ounce of Aperol, 1 ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of white vermouth, and 1/2 ounce of gum syrup. And you can find recipes online for gum syrup. It's super simple. Shake that with ice and serve it over fresh ice. Producer Mark, can you bring up our supernatural game cards, please? Lynn, what do you think?
I'm not confident.
I'm
Even though this is quite a boozy episode, I'm not
very
confident.
busy.
I think I pulled up a crap card.
All right. Well, I don't know. I gotta. I don't think I'm gonna get 5 in a row, but I don't think it's gonna be the shit show that it was last week either. So,
Well, then
as
I'll just have to be
always,
drinking with you.
yes, the first one is on the house. So, bless
Cheers.
you. That one's not bad.
Hmm. I love
I
I
was
love
checking my
watching your facial expressions right after you drink it because
It's
yeah.
like cocktail roulette.
Well, that and you have no poker face, so it's
Mm,
like
no, I
I
do
can.
not play poker for a reason. But yeah, it's we were talking before that there have not been a lot of great tasting cocktails this season. Um
No.
I was looking back through my notes and there were a couple of ones that were not bad early on, but it's been a long desert.
Yes,
Uh
it has been.
it's been 40 days in the desert of terrible cocktails. And I think so this one is not bad. I don't know that it's going in the running for best cocktail of the season, but it's pretty good. So give this one a try. If you are playing along with us, there is a link to generate cards of your own in the link tree. With that, let's get this show on the road. Uh,
Yay!
So, entertainingly enough, this episode has no then. So, we dive right down in the middle of our cold open. We've got these really extreme close ups of these angel statues on this lady's um, side table here. She's dressed rather scantily, and I think we're supposed to get the impression that she's either a sex worker or somebody who's, kind of down on their luck. Um,
And that's
and
an impressive number of cigarettes in that ashtray.
Yeah, her apartment's a little. We've got a light flicker, which we'll come back to. But her apartment's seen better days. The maid has not come in a while. But she's got this televangelist on the television. She tried to turn off. And along with this electronics flicker, he comes back on and she's pushing the button and he's keep talking and he just keeps saying, God is calling to you. Can you hear it? The angels are calling for you. Isn't it beautiful? Everything starts to shake, things start breaking and falling off the shelves. It's like an earthquake.
Quick.
But she's in Wisconsin. So, um, excuse me, she's having a very strange night. And all of a sudden, we've got this really bright light. Um, m- there appears to be a figure. And um, she says, "My God." Um, and you can see it, whatever it is, it's really moving to her. So we've got our title card here. I'm going to pause it. I'm sorry, we're not in Wisconsin. We're in Rhode Island. I should learn to read. Um, Don't
Minor
phonics work
detail.
for me. Okay, let's take a quick look for electronics flickers while we've got our
Flicker.
title card paused here. I feel like I have one. I just
I
have to
feel like
figure
I
out where it
don't.
is. Um,
Uh,
oh, here it is. Oh, here it is. I've got an electronics flicker. Excuse me.
and I don't. But I
Okay.
can't. I can't let you drink alone.
No, no, that would be incredibly rude. So,
No.
cheers.
Cheers.
All right, hit and play.
Hit and play.
Hit. There it goes. So that was our cold open. We come back to the same person. She's sitting in what we're going to learn is a hospital room. She's reading her Bible and she's like, "Oh, you're not my usual orderly," and it's Sam. So Sam has come to talk to him, and he's got his puppy dog eyes dialed all the way up to 11. He's come to interview. We learn her name is Gloria, and she this is a very different look for her. That now she's in the hospital, so she's wearing pajamas or like scrubs and a robe, but like her hair is very different. She's not wearing a lot of makeup. She's and just her like I think the actor is doing a really good job of portraying her as like her whole demeanor is different. She's much more calm. She's pulled together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we find out she stabbed a man in the heart. Sam says, "Why would you do that?" She says, "Because it was God's will." And he starts saying, did God talk to you? She's like, "No, no, he sent someone." And so she starts to insist that she was on a mission from God, all on the cue, the Blues Brothers. Um, and she knew in her in her gut that like she was filled with this peace, and she is convinced that she was given an order by an angel from God to murder someone. Um, and that this was an evil man. And she says she was chosen for redemption, which is something that's going to come up again. So right from the beginning, we're getting a lot of clues of kind of what's going
Mm-hmm.
on. But uh, she does say this man was guilty to his deepest foundations. So she doesn't know what he did, supposedly, that made him an evil man, but she's confident she did the right thing. Cut to Dean, and we're about to get a quirky motel room here, but he is listening to Kashmir by Led Zeppelin, and he's got
On
the
a
magic fingers
vibrating
going.
bed.
He's got the magic fingers rolling. This is the quirkiest of motel rooms. Like the black velvet painting over the bed has nipple tassels, for God's sake.
I was like, it's like porn central without the porn.
It's like they said, "Hey, this episode has a lot of religious overtones. Let's go full on bordello with the motel room." This is the wackiest of motel rooms. But Sam has Dean on lockdown because Dean is wanted by the FBI. Um,
Mhm.
and he's enjoying this magic fingers bed way too much. And he's like, "Oh, I'm out of quarters. You got any quarters?" And Sam's like, "No." He can have a pocket full of quarters, and he's not giving Dean a single one. Uh, but Sam saying, "I'm not convinced this lady was crazy." He's like, there's lore from all over the world about it. You know what? Actually, I want to bump this back a second. This just occurred to me. Does he? I don't think he uses the word lore, but I just want to double.
I thought he did.
There's a lot of references to, touched by an angel, um, which of course was the Roma Downey. So yeah, I'm not seeing him use the word lore, but he's saying, people all over the world believe in angels. And this woman is convinced, like, I don't think she's crazy. I think she believes that she saw something. The victim was a churchgoer. And this starts a debate between the brothers where Sam is open to the idea that angels are real, and Dean's like, No, there's no such thing, Sam. Like, angels do not exist."
Oh,
And he said,
there's the lore. But
did he
what
say, did he use
cracks?
the word lore?
Yep, yep. Actually,
Ah,
twice in
okay.
two sentences. What
Ah, lovely.
what
So we will check for that in a moment.
what
Um,
cracks me up though about this scene is for someone who says that he thinks angels are bullcrap because he's never seen one and he has to see something with his own eyes to believe it. The amount of shit they go through every single time, and the stuff that they read in the paper and just go boom, there's a case and never doubt it. And he has to see a damn angel to actually prove that one exists. I'm like, really? To me, that's bullshit.
you're
I
not
call bull.
wrong. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I call bullshit on that comment.
You're not wrong. And we're going to find out later in the episode why he's so insistent there's no such thing as angels. So we've got a damn it, we've got a lore, we've got a dude, we've got a meta moment because
They say
Dean says the word
supernatural.
supernatural, which we've decided and you know what, there's a change in scene here. So I am gonna hit pause because we've got a lot to look for. Um, and while we are looking on our cards, I will say this is a spoiler alert, but there are a lot of connections between this episode and the season one episode, Faith, like the conversation the boys just had about Dean insisting he wants proof. He wants to see something with his own eyes to believe it. Um, Later in the series, it's going to get retconned that Reapers are angels. So technically, although he doesn't know it, Dean has in fact seen an angel with his own eyes. But he doesn't know it yet. So that's something for us. Okay. Quirky
No,
motel room.
yeah,
Damn it.
we had a Sammy, didn't we?
Not yet.
Okay,
There is one coming later, but not yet. So let's see.
okay.
Quirky motel room. Damn it, dude. Let's see here.
I had a quirky motel
Wow.
room.
No, nope. I have a lore. I have a dude.
I did
Yeah,
not have.
I think that's what I'm gonna get here.
I got a quirky
Oh,
motel room.
great. I do have a meta moment fourth wall break, and that gives me three in a row.
Oh, that's right. And I don't
Um,
have that either.
okay. Well, I want to take one more look here because that was we got a square dump. So
Yeah,
Okay, so one
now,
more quirky motel
well,
room, damn it, dude, meta moment, and lore. I think that is all of them.
yep, and
Um,
I had a quirky motel room.
okay. So
Cheers.
one for you, three for me. I see how this is going.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. Usually I have to drink more when my cocktail is awful. But, um, okay, I just want to see if there's um excuse me. Dean does make a comment about finding fluffy white wing feathers, which is again, if you've seen the whole series the whole way through, it's kind of funny. Um, but okay, I think that is everything. I will say, um, so Kim Manners directed this episode, and he's got that really characteristic, like extreme close-up style. And we're gonna see a lot of that in this episode where he's got the camera right up in people's faces. Okay, so we're hitting play.
But,
Dean has finally managed to get himself out of the motel room, and they are going to see the house of the victim.
mm-hmm.
Um, we do. There's a bit of a squeal here, but I don't think it's the tires. I think it's something with the engine. But we are going to get one a little later. So there's a better example. We'll
Yeah.
look for that when we get there.
It's a sign
Dean
from
is,
above. And seems
it,
like bullshit. Like, come on.
yeah, there's this a kind of an inexpensive plastic angel next to the door here. Um, and so Dean is poking at Sam.
Yeah.
We've got this great camera work here where the camera comes all the way around. So it's not quite a 360, but it's a great shot. Um, and Sam is like, something's weird here at this house. He said, Gloria said this guy was guilty to his deepest foundations. And the guy's got like a root cellar under the house. And he was like, "Do you think he literally meant the foundations, or she meant?" So they bust open. We don't see them pick the lock, which is just heartbreaking.
Disappointing.
Very disappointing. But they trot themselves down into this root cellar, and this reminds me quite a bit of Hell House, where it's
Yes.
like the shelves with the mystery liquid and
Ugh.
the dark stone and stuff, but they're looking around. It's pretty damn creepy. And all of a sudden Sam notices there's fingernail scratches in the wall. And he goes over to investigate. Again, this beautiful shot of him in silhouette, that the way this is lit with their flashlights is all really cool. And they pull
Ugh.
like a press-on nail, like a fingernail out of the wall. This is not good. Like
No.
this is super fucking creepy. So they both grab a couple shovels, they start digging, and sure enough, this innocent victim that Gloria stabbed in the heart has got a body buried in the basement. So Sam says, so much for the innocent church-going librarian. Like this guy had secrets.
Yeah.
Uh, so
So no,
uh,
so he truly was guilty down to his foundation.
in the foundations, it was sign of his guilt. So right away we start seeing there's something more going on here than initially Dean is willing to accept.
Yes.
Um, we've got cut to another gentleman.
Yeah.
There's a lot of alcohol here. Like there's a heck of a lot of empty
Yeah.
and semi-empty bottles. Again, we've got the electronics flicker, we've got the earthquake wall shaking. And same thing, he sees this bright light with the figure. And just like with Gloria, he seems to be mm, really moved by this experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cut to him walking down the street. And if we remember, Gloria said she was given a sign of who it was. As he's walking down the street, he again sees this kind of bright light coming from a house. He
Mm-hmm.
heads over there. Here's this figure again. He's nodding. He's like, "Yes, I
I
understand. This is where I'm supposed to be." He goes up, rings the doorbell, and the person who answers the door appears to be, you know, decent. Like he's not scary looking. He's an average dude next door, a t-shirt and a flannel. And this gentleman introduces himself. He's, "Hi, my name is Zach," and he just stabs this guy again right in the heart. Um, and cut to another
and
statue of an angel.
yeah.
Uh, Go ahead.
No, I just the camera work there is just adds just
It's good. Oh, this is
cr-
Tim Manners, man. The guy is a genius.
it really
Um,
is genius.
yeah, it's
Look
a.
on Dean's face. It was like, oh my, it
Did
it's
you
like
bring quarters?
Waters. It's like he lost his best friend, and
Like,
Sam is like, oh my god, you sick son of a bitch. Like that is
yeah,
the look on Sam's face right
yeah.
now.
We have another dude, and he's like, "Dude, I am not enabling your sick habit with these magic fingers." Uh, but we Dean is not letting this go, and Sam's not letting this go. But again, Dean says he heard on the police radio they've had another one of these killings where someone was stabbed in the heart, and very shortly thereafter, the killer shows up at the police department and turns himself in. So they head over to victim number two's house. I've got this kind of fun shot of the boys hopping the fence into the guys' apartment. Now we have historically not called this a lockpick, but Sam uses his knife to turn the window lock.
Okay,
Uh,
remind me why we didn't call that a lock pick because they're clearly picking a lock.
um, No, not to say that we can't change our minds. You know what? Let's talk about that the next time we pause.
Okay.
But there's Sam's hacking into this dude's computer. He's got the freakiest like kid dressed as a clown mug next to the monitor. So, like, okay, we don't know what this guy is guilty of yet, who's died, but he's clearly got very questionable taste. Sam starts breaking into the computer and he's like, "Oh, there are dozens of emails to this lady named Jennifer. Oh, who's
Oh
13
yeah,
years
there's
old."
old like
Um, so you can look at these emails. They're relatively tame because, television, but if you just kind of fast forward through slowly, you can read them. And this guy Frank, is clearly a predator, and he's telling Jenny, "Oh, we have so much in common," and he's kind of fishing to find out if she's told anybody about him. He's saying like, "Oh, it's better if it's a secret. It makes it makes it's cooler if nobody knows. You haven't told your mom, right?" So he's posing as someone her age, and he's making sure she hasn't told anybody that he's trying to pick her up. Dean is going through other stuff, and it come to find out this guy goes to the exact same church as victim number one, which coincidentally enough is called Our Lady of the Angels.
Jules. I'm seeing a theme here
Singing the theme,
that's
interesting
not
thing.
so subtle.
No, no, and I gotta say, honestly, as a Doctor Who fan, all I keep thinking is, "Don't blink. Don't even blink." Yeah, lots of statues here. But so Sam and Dean show up at this gentleman's church. They're talking to pastor here, he's a priest. And they're posing as people who have moved to the neighborhood and are interested in this church, but they're trying to get information out of this priest. They're saying, "Oh, we've
Yeah.
heard about the murders," and he's saying, "Oh yeah, both of the victims were parishioners of mine. We've known them for years." And he's saying, "Oh, these poor misguided souls to think that a messenger from God would appear to incite people to murder." So
Yeah.
he's saying, no, he believes in angels, but the way these people are interpreting angels is in his mind clearly misguided.
Yeah.
There's a spoiler alert here. If you've seen the show all the way through, there's some interesting blocking here where Sam points to a stain. It's not stained glass window. I'm sorry. It's a portrait of the archangel Michael, but the way the blocking is, it looks like he's pointing at Dean. So just file that away for, I don't know, like 8 seasons from now. That's gonna be an interesting little thing. But he's talking a lot about how he understands angels to function. That
Yeah.
again, if you've seen the show all the way through, is kind of interesting. So they're coming out of the
Yeah.
church. There's this little kind of memorial on the front steps of the church where, Father Gregory, who was another priest there, was murdered for his car. That someone killed him and took his car keys. So they've
Which
got
let me tell you, if you steal the car keys of a priest, that's that's some really bad karma.
it. I mean, well, killing anyone for a car, is like I got to. That's that's some bad juju, man. Just don't, um, but this is, this is Father Gregory. I'm sorry, not Father Gregory. This other priest is saying that it's like the neighborhood is kind of going downhill, and so he perceives that the work of the church is even more important in a community that's struggling.
Mhm.
Um, but Dean immediately starts saying, this dead priest, Father Gregory, like this is a vengeful spirit material here. Um, and Father Reynolds starts praying for help, and help arrives. So Sam is, um, he's really kind of hanging on to this, and so
Mhm.
this argument continues. Like, Dean is like, why are you so determined to believe in this angel crap? And he's like, why don't you start praying every day? And Sam is like, I do pray every day. I have for a long time. And you can see, like, this really like is very shocking to Dean. He's like, what? So,
Yeah, and
um,
what's funny is like I love the matter of fact look on Sam's face when he says that.
like it,
I have to say I love the way they do this angel shot. It seriously to me looks like the angel is giving him the middle finger.
it does. It does. Once
I feel
again, we're
really
getting
guilty for saying it, but it really looks like the angel is is like is sticky up, which is so not I'm sure what it is, but it's
no, but he's gleefully flipping Sam the bird. And yeah, the angel stat again, I'm like, don't blink, don't even blink. But again, we start getting, as the boys are in the crypt looking for, I'm gonna pause this here on this black screen. Um, and the boys are in the crypt looking for Father Gregory's grave. Sam starts to experience this, the bright light and the quaking statues. Um, so
right at
there's
which I find quite comical that it's right after the one angel flipped him the bird.
the bit.
Just timing's
Yeah,
a
that
little
angel's
funny there.
like, I got a message for you. Oh,
Fuck you. It's
here's the
like,
message. Uh, but yeah, and again, we're gonna find out why. But the boys are kind of far apart here. The one thing I do
yes.
want to mention is Father Greg, sorry, the priest they're speaking to, whose name is escaping me right now, is but he says, Father Gregory, when he was shot, he passed away so quickly, he didn't even have time to receive last rites,
Yeah.
which for anyone who doesn't know is a rite of the church for people who are dying. Um, so that's going to come back later. So I mention it now.
Mhm.
Okay. I think at this point, all we have to look for is a seriously. Have we
And
got it?
I don't have that one either.
Uh, oh no, you're me from last episode. That was my
I
one.
told you.
Well,
Mike, it's an it. There's a lot of squareage potential, and my card sucks.
uh, well, we're only halfway through the season, so we're not giving up yet.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. So hitting play, and Dean comes back in. He's like, Sam, get the lead out. And he sees Sam has passed out. We've got a Sammy.
Amy.
He props Sam up. And Sam immediately, we can see he's having that same reaction of kind of an ecstatic reaction to this, that it's kind of a feeling of peace and bliss. So Sam is like, yeah, he's feeling really good right about now. And Dean is like, okay, here, I've got flask, drink this. Like, I don't want to drink. And Sam Dean is like, okay, well, I do. So Dean
Oh, so
drinks.
so yeah, it's
Um,
like, well, I need a drink at this point.
like,
Thank
yeah, Dean is like, okay, somehow my brother is drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, what could we do here?
you.
It's like,
Oh,
okay, ecstasy boy, maybe we'll get you some glow sticks and a nice Dr. Seuss
Dr.
hat.
Seuss hat. And I loved how it's like Sam is suddenly taking this, like, you sort of see, I don't want to say like Sam and Dean from season one, but in that brief moment, I kind of feel like it is where it's Dean pure sarcasm, which I feel like we haven't seen in a little bit, and Sam just being purely serious. If you if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I think the beginning of the season, they were both really like thrown off because of what John had said. And now that Dean has finally like talked to his brother about it, I think they're both kind of getting into their back into their groove. Entertainingly enough, though, the argument that Sam is making here is not dissimilar to the one Gordon was making back in Hunted about, let's take somebody off the board before they hurt anyone. All right. Now victim number one had that person buried in their basement, so he'd already killed somebody. Victim number two, okay, what he was doing was wrong. He was,
Yeah.
soliciting a minor, but he hadn't done anything yet. Um, so it's kind of interesting here where, we knew that Gordon was wrong back in Hunted, but to
Yeah.
hear Sam making this same argument is an interesting position for him to be taking. But what we finally get is, we get some background here about
Yeah.
why Dean is digging in so hard, and what they say is, or what Dean says is, Mom believed in angels. She's always told me that an angel was watching over me, and she still died. So I think that Dean is making the argument here that if there is a God, if there are angels, they're doing a shit job of protecting us. Therefore, like my mother had faith and she still died. Therefore, they cannot be real. Um, so this is why he's dug in so hard here.
So
But he's
have
just
you ever noticed that on things that he's unbudgeable on, at least at this point, all surround his mother.
yes, yeah, that he is dug in here, and that is you're absolutely right, and that's something we're gonna see. We're gonna continue to see. That he's got real big mom shaped blinders on. Um, but while they're down in the crypt, Dean says, "Look, we don't have to take this on faith. You know what? I'm going to pause this here for just a second. We've got so I've paused it in between scenes. So they are no longer in the crypt. They are just getting ready to come out of this little corner bodega here. Um, but Dean is saying we don't need to have faith. We're hunters. We can get definitive proof. So
Yes,
they go in and there's this this weed growing on um Father Gregory's grave that he's none of the other graves have it. It's just
right.
his. And so it's a sign that, there's some real bad mojo going on here.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick look here while we've got it paused. So we have Dean drinks and
Let's
a
see. We have a
Sammy.
Sammy.
And we
Uh,
already looked for the seriously. So we've got Dean eats or drinks, which I have, and that gives me four in a row. If
yep.
somebody kicks in a door, if
I
somebody
was,
kicks in a door, I've got it.
I would say
Um,
I had a Sammy, which
oh, good.
technically gives me two in the same row, but I wouldn't say two in a row. Um.
Well, that's what we're calling two. It's not two in a row. It's two in a row. So,
So yeah,
um,
I have two in a row. And I do not have Dean eats or drinks.
okay. So I've just got the one. So I'm gonna have a
So so
whisper
cheers. So yeah,
here.
I literally have
Cheers.
three, and they're in a perfect triangle.
May not get you closer to winning, but it sure is pretty.
Hmm.
All right.
Hey, this show is all about the symbols.
It is. It is. There's a lot of symbology.
I
Um,
got a symbol. I got a
wait,
triangle,
symbol.
or at least I got a shape. I don't know if it's a symbol, but it's a shape.
Depending
Hey,
on the
what can
season,
I
but you get
say?
drift.
We had a windstorm last night. I'm a wee bit tired. Makes me
Yeah.
a little. It makes me a little punchy. I can honestly say I've had about three sips, four maybe.
Yeah.
So I
See,
can't
this is
blame it
one of
on
the
the wine. So I'm
this
gonna
is
blame
one
it
of
on
the
the lack of
arguments I
sleep.
always make for why I don't drink very much because I don't need to. I'm this goofy all the time. One thing I want to mention that I didn't get a chance to earlier is, oh, we said we were going to go back and talk about whether or not that's picking a lock. So, not to say that we can't change our minds, but what we had said previously was that if we're going to call it picking a lock, they need to like get out a set of lock picks or something that they're using in place of lock picks and actually like get in there and pick the lock that we're not going to call it a lock pick when like say they use a credit card or a knife to jimmy open a door. We could change our minds, but that was our previous decision. So entertainingly enough, in this case, there's a scene on the gag reel where Jared is having some trouble getting his knife in there to get the lock open, and you can just hear Kim Manners screaming at him like, "Open the fucking door!" And he's like, "I it won't work, Kim." If you have access to the gag reel for season two, you can see that in there. That's from that movie.
I got it. That,
Um,
that sounds freaking funny.
Oh my goodness. Again, Kim Manners universally loved. Everybody loved him, but he had a very gruff manner.
Well,
Um,
Kim Manners.
it matters. So, okay. What are we calling it a lock pick? Are we expanding our definition of picking a lock to anytime they jimmy a lock open? Or are we leaving it actually picking a lock?
Oh, I'm so torn.
Jeopardy theme plays.
Uh, Oh God, now I really do have the Jeopardy theme song in my head. That's not fair. Because to me, it's kind of like they did take the knife, they did literally pick the lock open on the thing. So to me,
It,
that technically does count.
okay,
But
I am okay calling this picking a lock if from now on our definition of picking a lock includes like using a credit card to jimmy open a door.
you know what? I say that we can definitely abridge that statement and include that because it is
Okay.
because it is picking a lock.
Okay. So we're changing our minds. We're allowed. Let's see if either one of us has picking a lock here.
I don't.
Uh,
So it
I was
doesn't
gonna
even
say
help me. I cannot.
after all that, after all that, neither one of us fucking has it.
Well, you know what? Because of all of that, we deserve
Cheers.
we deserve a drink.
Hmm. Jimmying a lock open. Okay. Well, hopefully if you're playing with us, you have pick a lock. Okay. So hitting play. Here come the boys out of a corner store here, and they're like, "This okay, we've pushed the rules a little bit, but this takes the cake." They've got a SpongeBob placemat for an altar cloth, and he's like, we'll just put it upside down. It's fine." Sam
uh,
sees the light around this guy standing on the corner here. He's got a bag with a big bunch of flowers sticking out. And Sam is insistent this guy is going to do something terrible. We have to stop him. And Dean is like, all right, sure, let's do this. Let's stop him. Let's get in the car. So he stops Sam. He's like, I'm not going to let you kill someone. And Sam's like, no, I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to stop him. So Sam's like, please, he's going to hurt someone. I know it. Um, so Dean is like, all right, come on, get in the car. And so he puts himself in the car, and Sam's door is locked. And Sam's like, come on, Dean, let me in. And he's like, no, no, I'm not letting you hurt anybody. You go do the seance for Father Gregory. I'm going to go after this guy. So the
I
plan they have,
look at the look. Like, are you freaking
yeah,
kidding with me? It's kind of like
yeah, Sam is,
you took my puppy. Tell me that's not the look on his face.
that was, but I have a mission from God to hurt the bad man. So
It's like, but please.
but oh, so yeah. So the plan here is that Dean is going to follow Romeo here. He's got his flowers. He picks up a young lady, but opens the door for her. He's being very gentlemanly, and you can kind of see on Dean's face he's not. He's going to keep following him just to make sure, but he's like, "Mm, I, I'm not buying that this guy is up to no good." Sam, meanwhile, goes back to Father Gregory's. We've got the placemat upside down. They've got the candles, and he's starting to read what is a summoning ritual out of Dad's journal. So the next time we pause, we'll look for a summoning ritual. Um, and I think this is lit really well with just the light
Mhm.
on Sam's eyes, and
The
the
stained
the
glass.
journal is
I
kind of,
love that stained glass window in the
yeah.
back.
Yeah, this is really beautiful. It's shot well. And then here
I
comes
love this. I love
here
this conversation. This cracks
I
me up.
did too.
I can
I did
explain
too.
this. Well, maybe I can't.
maybe I can't actually. But he's like, what are you doing? Oh, this is a seance. And the person's like, a seance? You were in a house of God. Sam was like, well, it's based on early Christian rites if that helps. Funny enough, no, it doesn't help. So he starts to escort out Sam, turns around. He says, oh my God. And here's this image that everyone's been seeing. And man, I think Jared does a great job here because you can see in Sam's face, he is heartbroken. He hasn't been seeing an angel. This is Father Gregory. The summoning ritual worked. And here's the priest who was killed, and he says, I've come in answer to your prayers. Um, cut
But
back
now
to
it's funny
Dean.
because I would have said, and I'm like, no, granted, I have not mastered summoning rituals by any stretch of the imagination, aka at all. I didn't even think he finished the ritual the when when the first priest walked in to some for some reason I thought the priest had interrupted him.
Yeah, so I see where you're coming from, and certainly his timing is excellent. I think we're supposed to believe that when the candle makes that like
Yeah.
sparkly thing, that was the ritual being completed. But Father Gregory is saying, I was a man, but now I'm an angel. And the other priest is like, that's not where angels come from. Like human beings don't become angels. Um, and again, I think that Jared's doing a really good job with this scene here where, he's trying to help Father Gregory because typically what they do is they salt and burn the bones, right?
Yeah.
Um, but they're talking to Father Gregory and they're saying like you're confused. You are not an angel. Um, you're hurting people. This is not where you belong. Cut back to Dean.
Yeah.
Dean momentarily loses track of this guy he promised Sam he would watch. So he's a little anxious at first. We've got another damn it. Um, and we're going to cut back and forth here. We're back to Father Gregory, and the other priest is saying, like, this is not God's will. You are driving innocent people to commit murder. And again, we've got this, some people need redemption, don't they, Sam? So this is feeding right into this is why Sam was chosen, that
Yeah.
he's got these feelings about, what John whispered to Dean, that he's
Yeah.
been chosen for something. Lynn, you always like to point out that light. We've got that, half
Yeah.
lit look for Sam, that, how conflicted he is here. Um,
Yeah.
and
I
what
even just love the lighting on the priest's face here, the way his
Yeah,
jawbone is in the dark with just
yeah,
his face lit. I think that's really neat. It's just like the highlighted
yeah,
and then with the darkness there.
yep,
Oh, and then
yep,
the lighting in this scene is just amazing.
yeah. This is Serge Ladisier, that he does some really gorgeous things here, where the way that he's using light to show where these characters are and how their position is changing throughout the scene. Cut back to Dean and this young man. He's got the lady in the car. He's pulled over in some back alley somewhere. He tries to kiss her.
Mm,
And she's like, I thought we were going to the movies. We need to get going. And he just hauls off and belts her. And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I've never done this before. And you initially think he means like maybe he's never had sex before, but then he pulls out this box cutter. And you realize, no, he means he's never tried to kill anyone before. So like the second victim, he hasn't actually hurt anyone yet. Dean breaks the window. We've got somebody knocked out. So he
yeah.
he knocks out, asshole number three. He checks in on the young lady to make sure she's okay. Driver comes to, he pulls away, and Dean says, "Do you have a phone?" She says, "Yes." He's like, "Call 911. Are
911.
you okay?" Yes. So he checks to make sure she's safe. And then he hauls ass off her, excuse me, after would-be killer here.
Yeah.
Cut back. It's starting
Oh,
to get to Father Gregory. He's starting to
yeah.
realize he's made a mistake here.
And
And the other
just look at it.
priest,
They have him all in the dark. Like look at
yeah,
it all.
yep.
He's he's
Yeah,
no
he went
longer
from
lit at
in the
all.
light where he was certain of his position to in the dark where he realizes he's made a terrible mistake. And they're saying, "Let us help you." So the other priest gives him last rites here.
Yes.
Um, and this oh, Father Reynolds. There we go. That's
Yeah.
the name I couldn't remember. And it says, "It's okay. You can rest now." And we see, Father Gregory
Uh,
um, accept that he's made a mistake, that he's not an angel, and it's time for him to be somewhere else. Father Reynolds
yeah.
calls on the Archangel Raphael, Master of the Air, which again is something to file away for later.
Yeah.
Um, and we see now Father Gregory accept that he has died, and he crosses over. And I think this is really beautifully acted. So
Uh,
this is a very different scene for a ghost
yeah.
crossing over than we typically see. Cut back
Mm-hmm.
to Dean. We've got a
Yeah.
definitive tire squeal here, so we'll check
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Uh, Dean keeps following this guy. Truck cuts in front. This was supposed to be a much more involved car chase, but it ended up being just absolutely like shitty weather. It was very icy, and it just wasn't safe for them to do what they'd intended to do. So, as good as this car chase is, it was intended to be a more intense um scene
Yeah.
with a lot more stunt drivers. This
Oh.
truck veers in front, a pole pops off, bounces, and then goes straight through the windshield of
Yeah.
what would have been victim number three's
Hey.
car. Dean pulls up, and you
Look at the
can see
look on Dean's face.
he is stunned. He is
Yeah.
absolutely gobsmacked here. And he's like, "Holy shit." And he gets out,
But
and you can see there's this great shot of the pole with like blood still dripping out. So it's essentially like a construction truck that a pipe has bounced off of. One in a million shot goes straight through the windshield, straight through the driver, killing him. And
yeah.
Dean is like, "That holy
if
crap."
if I
Um,
hadn't seen it with my own eyes. But again,
yeah,
I love how they don't have them actually say it just holy. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not slightly
yep.
appropriate for this
Yep, you could
episode.
see it in his face.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've paused it on the black screen here. So we've got a summoning and someone gets knocked out. So let's see if
So yeah,
either one of us, we
I
don't
have a summoning ritual.
sadly have burn a body because he crosses over willingly.
So yeah,
I'm sorry, you started to say you have something?
I have a summoning ritual.
Okay, good. I have baby's tires squeal.
Oh, I have that one too, actually.
Oh, yay. Let's see. We've got a tire squeal, a summoning, and someone gets knocked out. I think
Oh no,
that
but
is
someone
all I've
thrown across the
got.
wall. Someone gets. I got. So I have every other injury.
Yeah. Yeah, all the
uh,
injuries except someone getting knocked out.
yeah, if
All
someone
right.
gets thrown
So,
across the wall, Sam gets conked
nope,
in the head, someone gets
nope,
tied up,
nope,
someone gets choked.
nope. None of those. None of
Yeah,
those. So, all right. I just have the baby's tires squeal.
yeah, and yep, I have the summoning.
Hmm. So one
So,
each.
actually, I had
Cheers.
two.
Oh, you are gaining on me.
Uh,
All right. Home stretch here.
Home stretch.
Hitting play. So cut back to the porno room. And Sam is already packing. We can see that he's just dejected.
Mhm.
Dean comes in. He's like, "How was your day?" So, um, look at this great window with the silhouette of a
I love
woman.
the dancer in the background.
This is
Oh.
like Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
Hmm.
Motel room. You can see that Dean is really visibly shaken. He's drinking. Now this time he hands it to Sam. Now Sam wants a drink. Um, and this is. I'm going to call this a heartfelt moment. What's
Oh yeah,
coming?
absolutely.
Um, but they finally kind of get to the end of this conversation they've been having in pieces. And we heard from Dean why he was insistent there's no such thing as angels. And here we have Sam saying, I wanted to believe because there's so much evil out in the world, Dean. I feel like I could drown in it. He's carrying the weight of this, like he's been chosen for something he doesn't know what. Everyone else they've come across with a similar destiny to his is a killer.
Yeah.
He's like, I okay, great, my brother's looking out for me, but I wanted to think there was someone else watching out too,
Yeah.
that they were not alone, that there was some higher power, some force of good to balance out the forces of evil that they battled every day.
Well, I also love how he says, "I know you're watching out for me, but you're one person."
You're one man, right?
Yeah.
And we've got this great music cue from Bob Dylan. We've got Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Door. That, oh, it's so
Um,
appropriate.
great. Oh,
So appropriate.
the music cues in this show are just genius. So Dean starts to say, funny enough. So now they've switched places, right?
Yeah.
So now, Sam is losing his faith because of what he saw, right?
Hmm.
And now Dean, who didn't have faith at the beginning, is like, no, I've seen something. That okay, the guy I was following, he's dead. I didn't kill him, but I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. That this is, I don't even know what to call it. And man, Jensen does a great job here. Like
Yeah.
you can see all the confusion in his face, and Dean finally says, "I think I saw maybe
I love this
God's
knocking on heaven's
will."
door.
Yeah,
God's
I
will.
saw God. Like the fuck do I do with that? And that
Oh,
is the end of the episode. That
oh
is
God. Oh,
that's where we land. Okay, so we're gonna do one last check of
yeah,
our
the,
cards. We've got a heartfelt Broman. Ugh,
yeah.
if only someone had kicked in a door, I would have five in a row.
And
I
I
do,
do not have a heartfelt Broman either.
you know what? Since it's our last one, I'm gonna have a little bit bigger. I do have a heartfelt Broman.
Well, I am definitely going to
Uh,
drink with you.
all right, excellent. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So the most I have in a row is four, with a
Most
total
I
of
have in a row is
9.
two with one, two, three, four, five.
Okay. Um, All right, so I have 4 in a row with a total of 9. You have 2 in a row with a total of 5.
So you
So
definitely beat my ass on this one.
I have, well, I guess we need a safe word then. Yeah, I have lost by the least. Um, Couple things I want to point out here quickly before we move on. One is everything was happening in that scene so quickly I didn't get a chance to mention it, but uh take a look at, like, rewind it. Take a look at the look on Dean's face when Sam says maybe I could be saved. Because Dean is carrying all that weight, all that responsibility that it's his job to watch out for his brother. Um, and what Jensen does is something pretty special here. The other thing I'm going to mention is that last scene where they were drinking out of the flask. There was real whiskey in the flask. And when Kim Manners found out, he said, "Fucking idiots," and then went back to filming. By and large, when they're drinking on set, it's iced tea or it's apple juice. We've talked about the bourbon
Yeah,
being apple juice,
yeah.
off camera. Or it'll be, but every once in a while, they're both in their 20s, real alcohol would find its way onto set somehow. I wonder how that possibly could have happened. Um, but okay. One thing you loved, one thing you hated.
Oh wow, this episode is I love this episode.
Good.
This one
This is a
is
great episode.
this one's amazing. Um
Yeah. Well, it's written by Sarah Gamble, anything that comes from her, like she's got a gift as a storyteller.
so one thing I loved, and this will be no shock, is the lighting in the between in that one scene between the two priests when the way the lighting changes and all of that between the two priests and Sam. Just the
Yeah.
how that whole scene unravels and how everything changes just lighting wise. I think is
Yeah,
brilliant.
I agree.
Absolutely brilliant. Um I looked for something I hated and I can't find one.
I gotta
Like
say, this one,
it's that good. Like
yeah,
I really usually me, I can find something that drives me nuts.
yeah,
There's nothing in that
I
episode that
no.
grated on my nerves. Like
Can I
nothing.
tell you, in my notes under hated, I literally have seriously, I got nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I,
nothing.
I was hoping that, like, as we were watching it again together, that, like, you would spot something that would, like, trigger a thought, and I would go, "Yeah, that one's not so great." No, I got nothing for this. This is a great. You put Sarah Gamble and Kim Manners together, and it is a recipe for perfection. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
no, this one, like the last couple, they've been good
Good.
episodes, but to me, they weren't my definition of magic.
I agree.
This one is magical.
Yeah, yeah, and on it now, I thought Night Shifter was really fantastic. Um, but again, we were able to find some little. I mean, we had to work hard, but we found some missteps. But, like, from here to the end of the season, it is just a run of amazing television. Like, this is, they took this little monster of the week show, which is honestly the thing that I loved about this, is they took this little monster of the week show and they transformed it into just a master class in how to make good television.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really love about this one is this particular episode launches them into that new realm, because this is the episode where they started to say, hey, we can take on bigger issues. Like we can tackle moral questions and not provide tidy answers. You know, we can start to look at some of these bigger questions, and particularly if you've, without saying too much here, but if you've seen the show all the way through, there's a lot of roots here that will, like this episode lays a foundation
Yeah.
for things that come later. Like a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
the lore of Supernatural gets established in this one episode. And it's all kind of a happy accident, because none of that was on the table when they were writing this. And it actually, I know I had said during the episode Faith that there were, I know that there was an episode where the boys called the writers and said, "Hey, you know, we're a little uncomfortable here. Like we're not, the Jensen in particular, at the time especially, was a practicing Christian. He's said since that he, his personal spirituality has become a little more individual than institutional. But at the time, he was very much a practicing Christian. Jared, not quite as much. But when they saw the script, they were like, "Ooh, this might be a little much for us. Like we don't, whatever our personal faith might be, we don't want to alienate anybody who might be watching this. Like this is a show
Right.
for everybody. We're not trying to make a
Right.
religious show here." So it was either Faith or this one. I know there was an episode that they called the writers and we're like, we're a little nervous here. Um,
I
and
remember us
I
talking about it during Faith.
say it again.
I remember us talking about that
We
during
did.
Faith.
Yes, you're correct. And I was saying I thought it might be Faith, but there was
Yeah.
one other episode it might have been, and this is it. So I think personally that the this episode handles the material sensitively. And if
Mm-hmm.
you read the official companion volume for season 2 entry for this episode, you can tell that like they were really mindful of, like, it was a story they wanted to tell, but they were really mindful that they handle it sensitively and not either espouse any particular religion or alienate any of their fans. And personally, I think they did a great job. And like I said, it's the thing that I love about this episode the most, that it launched them into bigger things.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, that is last call.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, cheers. Thanks for coming along with us for the ride. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to tell your friends. Please also like our videos and subscribe so that it's easier for other people to find us too.
And for those who, like me, who really want to see a bonus episode, please give us some topic ideas so that we can put them in for Jared and all that, so that we can have some great meaty discussions and all that that aren't episode specific.
Great, meaty, drunken conversations.
Which aren't those the best kind to have?
So we love hearing from our SPN family who comment if you're able. Send us an email at hunterfuelpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hunter Fuel Podcast. In our next episode, we will be watching season 2, episode 14, Born Under a Bad Sign, when Sam visits an old friend. Or does he? Until then, be safe, everybody. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.